2K crew, it is podcast day, and I am super stoked for this show. We're gonna be talking shortstops, the young kids, the established vets. How do they rank? Who's the best? What's their contract like? And what the future holds for some of these teams. I cannot wait to get into it. And as always, we got news. We've got Turbo's power rankings. So with that being said, let's get into it.
Turbo and 2K show.
That's right, 2K crew. It seems like this day and age, the position of shortstop is getting younger, is getting stronger, is getting taller, is just the level of athleticism is just going out of this world, out of this world. And we're seeing some young kids come in, and we're seeing some established vets still continue to produce at a high level. So we're going to break all of that down for you, and I'm going to give you kind of my top active shortstops and some to look out for, because you might not know that they're in these particular team systems, because it seems like everyone's new shiny toy that's coming up is a shortstop. So I figured, what better time to do a show kind of focusing on this group, because they've earned it. I mean, some of these kids have hit the ground running and are multimillionaires at this point, and some are still kind of yet to reach that. So we'll break it all down. But before we get into that, let's get into some news. Start the show off with kind of a somber start. Ted Turner passed away. And for you young kids that don't know who Ted Turner is, Ted Turner used to own TBS, amongst other things. And if you really want to take a deep dive on someone who was very, very interesting and very, very diverse, look at Ted Turner. Not only did he own TBS and TNT and the Braves, he also was one of the largest landowners in the United States, and I believe had the largest privately owned buffalo herd in the country. So a very, very interesting man passes away in his home surrounded by his family. But one of the things that kind of made Ted Turner iconic for me was, I'm 45 years old. When I was growing up in my early teens to late teens, the Atlanta Braves were the team to beat. They were the team of the decade back then, with stars like Greg Maddux, John Smoltz, Tom Glavine, Chipper Jones, Andrew Jones, Fred McGriff. I mean, you name it. That team was just awesome, and kind of they kind of get overshown because they only did win one World Series. But if you look at how many times they won the AL East and how they dominated the Mets and they dominated just their division in baseball, was absolutely phenomenal. And I remember getting the South Bend Tribune and cutting out the box scores, or the standings, and keeping those just to keep track of how many games the Braves were ahead of it was usually the Mets back then, sometimes the Phillies, but it was just a kind of a cool thing. And add on top of that, my cousin Scott was drafted by the Braves in that time era. So that was kind of our leverage point to have mom and dad get cable so we could get TBS, just in case cousin Scott got the call up to the majors and we could watch a pitch. Now, he never did, but him being drafted by the Braves did help us get cable TV. So that, for a kid my age, was huge anyway. So cousin Scott, big shout out to you, and your and just to be drafted, period, is an awesome feat. But yeah, you helped dad get cable, so thank you. But that was the norm. I mean, usually, especially around here, you were either a Tigers fan, a Cubs fan because the Cubs were on WGN, or you were a Braves fan because they were on TBS every single night. And that was absolutely awesome. So I wanted to highlight a tweet of this. This is from Karsten Bowen. Ted Turner spent 20 years making sure a kid in Montana could watch the Braves. MLB spent 20 years making sure a kid in Atlanta couldn't. And boy, Carson, you are not wrong. You are not wrong. All these local blackouts. Why? It's 2026. Why in the hell are we blacking out any sporting event? And especially comparing what Ted did with TBS and the Braves, and even for a large majority what WGN did for the Cubs. I mean, you made lifelong fans, and you made not only lifelong fans, but you made generations of lifelong fans that were not local. And even more to the Braves because, yes, WGN was more local in Chicago. TBS and TNT were, if you had cable or satellite, it came with your package. And it was genius. It was absolutely genius. And now we're stuck with streaming services to where if I wanted to watch, because of where I'm located, I I can't even get like the Nesson app to watch the Red Sox here in Michigan. And furthermore, if I want to watch the Tigers, if I want to watch all of their games, I have to pay $19.99 a month in order to watch the Tigers. And that's it, and it's what $150 for the extra innings for MLB. Excuse me. And even that uh is being run by ESPN anyway. So it just sucks. It just sucks that we don't have access to teams like this, and we can, because even if my cousin Scott wasn't drafted by the Braves, they were good back then, so I enjoyed watching them play, and made it made a lifelong fan. Made a lifelong fan, and it sucks that people, not only kids, but people in general, are going to miss this experience, this type of experience, because of greed, because of all these contracts, because of all these streaming services. It's just ridiculous, and that goes for any of the big sports, not just baseball. So, end of rant, I guess. End of rant. But yeah, that's the I wanted to start the show off with the somber news, so we can get into the exciting, get into the awesomeness that I do have planned here. So there's going to be a lot of glazing here in the news portion of this show, just because there's a lot of good things that have happened. There's some bad things that have happened, and there's been some good news, and then there's just kind of been some other stuff. So let's start out with some glazing, okay? If you've been a follower of this show for any amount of time, we do our fair share of Shohei glazing, and have in the past, and probably will continue to do as long as he's playing, because he is just that good. We've highlighted many, many times over how great of a hitter he is. He's had the 50-50 season. He's had, 4-time MVP, looking like it's going to be a 5th MVP. But his pitching has been good, but it hasn't been the best. So I found this rather shocking. This is from the MLB account on Twitter. Shohei Ohtani is atop the pitcher power rankings for the first time this season. They have Ohtani, Schlittler, Sale, Sanchez, Fried, Skeens, Miz, Imanaga, McLean, and Soriano. And we're going to get into Skeens, on his own, but him being ranked 6th on this list is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. We're going to break down some numbers. But I think one of the things that, Shohei's doing very, very well. He's pitching extremely well. Now, it was, with a lot of people, we were kind of going, okay, well, as it was leading up to this, he's not getting as many innings pitched as a lot of the other starters, and it was just kind of being, I I don't know how to describe it, because I don't want to downplay what he's doing, but when you consider the workload that a lot of these other starters are going through, I'm not saying it's not as good, because the ERA, I think he's given up just a handful of runs, if that, in all of his starts combined. And if you look on FanDuel or any of these other sports books, you would be shocked at the percentage, or the odds for him to not only win MVP but Cy Young. And it's absolutely insane. And not to say that we haven't seen a pitcher win the MVP and Cy Young, because we have. We have. Verlander did it. Um, a handful of other guys have done it. Clayton Kershaw's done it just here. I mean, within the last decade or so, but they haven't done it quite to the extent that Shohei's doing it. They're not hitting, and that's kind of unprecedented. So if I were a betting man, which I am, and I have put my future bet in, and just on whatever sports book that you enjoy, just give it a gander. Give it a gander, because his odds for MVP are very, very high, meaning that he's by far the front runner. So to parlay that with the Cy Young, which I think he's like fourth or fifth ranked, at least when I did mine, it makes the odds a little bit more favorable. So just an FYI, just an FYI. And like I said, look, we're going to break down some Skeens numbers here, because there was a lot of people after his first start was saying this guy's done. This guy's washed. This guy's done. I don't know what's going on. He gives up 5 runs in 2/3 of an inning. He has a 67.5 ERA. There's no way he's going to get even close to that 1.9 that career ERA that he's accumulated his first 2 seasons. This is from Ethan Fisher. Paul Skeens since opening day, a 1.09 ERA, 0.56 WHIP. Is that good? Let's take a look at this. Skeens after first inning this season, because he didn't remember, he only pitched 2/3 of an inning his first start in opening day. 0.79 ERA, lowest in baseball. 0.55 WHIP, lowest. Hitters are hitting at a 129 clip, 165 on base, and a 164 slug, all lowest. I'm pretty sure since it might be lowest in MLB, but that's from Paul Hembo over at ESPN. I don't know. Is any of that good? Let's continue down. It's from Codify. Paul Skeens has allowed a total of only 81 earned runs in his 63 big league starts. It sounds impossible, but I swear it's true, and it's legit. And he spun another beauty his last time out, going 8 innings, no runs. Just a phenomenal way to do things. This is from Michelle Bennett. After opening day, Paul Skeens owned a 67.5 ERA. Since then, he's lowered it all the way down to 2.36, capped off by 8 shutout innings versus the Diamondbacks tonight. Ridiculous bounce back. Like I said, there was a lot of people saying, I'm not sure what's going on with Skeens. He's done. He's got to be tipping his pitches. He's run out of gas. Who knows? And he said, no, not even close. Not even close. And now, if you're a reliever and you post that big number early in the season, yes, it is easy to make that number come down, but not as drastically and as quickly as a starter, because you're pitching more, just overall more innings. So for those and there was some stat out that said if he wants to get below a 2 ERA after opening day, he'd have to pitch like 20 or like 30 some consecutive innings without giving up a run. Well, he hasn't done that, but it's been pretty damn close. It has been pretty damn close. And it's not only that, this Pirates starting staff is legit. They are absolutely legit. And I saw a couple TikToks earlier today about if Yordan Alvarez were to become available from the Houston Astros. And the Pirates do have the prospect package to get him. He's still after this year, he's under control for 2 more years. And in an NL Central that's it is the most competitive division in baseball right now. Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. That would make a lot of sense. Do I think that they're uh, they're a team that's going to make that play. That's the part where I'm like, yeah, probably not. Would it be awesome if you're Paul Skeens and they make that shit happen? Yeah, yeah. My organization has a backbone. My organization will pull a trigger to get a guy like Jordan in here that could hit the ballpark, hit it out of the park into the river. How awesome would that be? I don't know how far that is, but I wouldn't put it past Jordan if it is possible. So, like I said, are the Pirates an organization that traditionally would pull that trigger to do that? No, but just something to keep an eye on. Something to keep an eye on. Well, here's another guy that's absolutely tearing the cover off the ball. This is from Just Baseball. Mike Trout is closing in on the top 50 of all-time home run list. He's currently 55th with 415, with Edwin Encarnacion at 54, Billy Williams at 53, Mike Piazza at 52, Cal Ripken at 51, and then two others tied at 434, being Juan Gonzalez and Andrew Jones. So if he continues to be healthy and produce the way that he's done so far this year, he could move well into that top 50. So T's and P's to Mike Trout. We're all fans. We want you to finish this season out strong. We want you to finish the season healthy because baseball is better when you are healthy. So keep it up, Mike. Keep it up. We're all rooting for you. We are all rooting for you. Now, we talked about the Jordan possible trade. Would the Angels even consider trading Mike Trout? Or better yet, is there anyone that would be interested in trading for Mike Trout with the amount that's left on his contract? And that's the age-old discussion. Trout's come out and said that he really wants to finish his career with one hat. And he wants that to be with the Angels, but you would think that with all the injuries and the setbacks that he's had, especially recently, maybe that would be a cause for him to reconsider that. And it sucks, and it would pain me to see it, but him in a Yankees uniform just kind of makes sense right now. Would the Yankees pull the trigger, or do they even have the? They definitely have the capital to do it, but would they have the prospects to do it? I don't know. I don't even know what a package for Mike Trout would really look like, to be honest with you. Nor do I really want to see it, because if it makes a difference, I don't want him going to New York. And to be honest with you, he doesn't fit in Boston either. So I don't know. Unless he's a DH. Well, another guy that's absolutely destroying baseballs is Matt Olson. This is from Underdog MLB. Matt Olson NL ranks: home runs first, RBI first, OPS first, runs first, F4 first. Olson's 13 home runs this season are the most through 37 games in his career. And if you spent any amount of time on Twitter, that's kind of one of the big discussions going around is, does Olson belong in the Hall of Fame if he retires right now? And I really don't know how to answer that question. I think all of us that are kind of leaning towards yes. We want to see more numbers. We want to see more years before we have to make that decision. And I'm pretty sure we're going to get that, or at least the opportunity to see that before we kind of have to, draw a line in the sand type thing. But he is making waves. He is making waves. And for a team that got, I'm not going to say lambasted because they decided to go a different route than Freddie Freeman. And Braves fans, I get it. Freddie Freeman was, he grew up in the organization. I understand that. He's still a very good player, was a very good player. And, was there for an MVP. And when they made the decision to not pay him and go after Matt Olson, I think it was pretty darn close to like a 1-to-1 type trade scenario, or not trade, but it was a very, very equal replacement. Now Freddie's gone on to win, a couple more rings with the Dodgers, but I think as far as production on the field is concerned, whether it's hitting or fielding, I think Matt Olson is just as good or maybe even a little better than Freddie Freeman. Just a thought. Just a thought. So, Braves fans, you found probably the best replacement that you could with Matt Olson. So I would not be, if I'm a Braves fan, I am not sad that Matt Olson replaced Freddie Freeman. And here's some more numbers from AT. Matt Olson leads the National League in homers, doubles, runs, RBIs, slugging percentage, OPS, WOPA, F4. He is absolutely nuts. Now, the bad thing about him doing this right now is that he is a far second in the MVP race behind Ohtani. So as far as getting that accolade, I think he's, a very distant second. But I think there's going to be a lot of great players that are going to finish a distant second behind Shohei for MVPs. And, they probably should just come up with a different award just for him, so that all the rest of the normal people that aren't aliens have a chance to win, a prestigious honor like MVP at the end of the season. So it is what it is. But yeah, kudos to Matt Olson. You're having a hell of a season. Hell of a season. All right. Now, here's some, this is something that rocked here locally. That's not the one. This is from John Heyman. Scooble will undergo surgery for loose bodies in his elbow. There's no set timetable, but it's seen as a relatively routine surgery. Best guess 2 months. At Ian Petzold first on surgery. Now this kind of turned a lot of heads because not only do the Tigers lose their ace, yes, but this is the same elbow that he's had problems with in prior seasons. So it was like, okay, and there was a lot of past MLB players that kind of piped up on this and said, when you do get those loose bodies in any joint, not just in particular of the elbow, but normally when that type of situation arises, it's because the body's producing extra calcium because there's a weakening ligament in there, which if that's the case, that's Tommy John. 2 words that Tigers fans do not want to hear when it's concerning their ace Tarik Skubal or any of their pitchers, frankly, but Skubal in particular. So, and then you had all the backlash with this sucks. It does for a number of reasons. But what was weird is everyone that you saw on Twitter that had either gone through this injury or had, teammates that have done it, that said, all right, it's 4 to 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, or 4 to 6 months. So it was drastic across the board. Like what type of timetable are we looking at here? Excuse me. This is from John Heyman again. I believe this is from today. Tarik Skubal's elbow surgery was such a success, he could start working out within days, and 2 months is seen as a conservative estimate for the 2-time Cy Young winner to return. 4 to 6 weeks possible. One relatively small loose body was removed. So that's the best news that Tigers fans and Tarik Skubal could have ever received. Because if you look at the stats as to the Tigers' record when Skubal pitches as compared to when anyone else does, it is drastically different. And if you look at all of the players that are currently on the IL for the Tigers, the players that they're paying, their payroll is more than the entire Cleveland Guardians team. The Tigers players that are on the IL right now are making more money this season than the entire squad in Cleveland. So yes, the injury bug has bitten the Tigers, and Thankfully, it's not a division where a lot of teams, there's not a team running away with things. And Tigers are kind of kicking it around right now. I mean, they just got swept by my Red Sox, and that's not saying much because my Red Sox aren't that good either. So I don't know. I don't know, Tigers fans. I don't know. But here's kind of what is this one? No. This is from Baseball Trade Value. Based on our modeling, Tarek Skubal's surplus trade value has gone from $41.2 million to just $1.1 million. Because he's unlikely to return before the deadline, the Tigers have lost not only their ace, but also their biggest potential trade chip should they fall out of contention. And that's huge news. I mean, yes, losing Skubal is the biggest news, but the second biggest news is what big trade piece do you have besides him? And the answer is not a lot. Not a lot. I mean, there's young studs on this team, but those are guys you don't want to trade because you have them locked up for many years to come. So it just doesn't make sense to do that. Now with Skubal, yes, they have yet to be able to reach a contract extension. So if that doesn't seem likely, then yeah, you want to move Skubal. But at now, I mean, his price tag is gone down. I mean, in the gutter. And I'm curious to see if he does make it to the free agent market, how much these injuries are really going to take a toll on that final number. And I don't think that when the Tigers were negotiating with him, I don't think it was the annual value number they were worried about. It was the years. Because it's not like Skubal's 22, 23 years old. He's not a young buck anymore, even though it seems like it because he hasn't been there that long. But and then add to that, I believe I saw a stat that he's only finished like maybe two. It's got to be three. No, two. I think he's finished two full MLB seasons. So not only is he garnering a high price tag, but the reality of him getting a 10-year deal now, I think is completely out the door. So if you're Tigers fans, you got to be thinking, okay, well maybe we're actually back into this thing, because there was no way that we're going, 40 a year for 10 years. Now, I have a very good feeling that if he would have agreed to a 40 per year, 45 per year for 5 years, I think management would have been a whole lot more apt to take that conversation and start the negotiation from there. But the 10-year thing is I think what stalled the negotiations with this whole thing. Maybe I'm completely out of left field. I don't know. But Tigers fans, there is a very, very good piece of news. This is from Clay Snowden. Kevin McGonigal is currently tied for first in the AL in WAR with 2.1 with Aaron Judge. That is the same WAR as Ohtani. I'd say the kid's doing all right. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And if you talk to any of his teammates, they are still ready for their dinner to be paid for by Mr. McGonigal. So just something to keep an eye on. Something to keep an eye on. Well, 2K Crew, that's all the news that I got. That's all the news that I got. There's some other Red Sox news that I could get into, but we did a whole show about the Red Sox last week, so didn't really want to overdo the Red Sox stuff here for you guys and gals. So let's get to the power rankings. Another week of some big shifts here. Just a quick reminder from last week: we had A's 5, Reds 4, Yankees 3, Braves 2, Dodgers 1. And yeah, there's been some shakeup. There's been some shakeup for sure. Let me get my stats here. All right. Coming in at number 5, the Rays, quite possibly the hottest team in baseball right now. They're 9-1 in their last 10, winners of their last 6, plus 15 run differential, and they're one game behind the Yankees at 24-12. So yeah, they're comfortably in second place in the AL East. and they have the second best record in the American League. So razor hot in there as we sit here. It's top of the sixth, 3-3. Rays tied with my Red Sox. Definitely a very different game so far, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Coming in at number 4, I got the Cubs. Cubs are tied for the most wins in baseball. There's a 3-way tie with them, the Braves, and the Yankees at 26 and 12. Kind of they've opened up a lead here with the Cardinals, and the Pirates are second in that division at 21 and 16. Pirates are 21 and 17, so 4 games back, 5 games back. So yeah, the Cubs have been on a tear as well. They're 9-1 winners of their last 9. So the Cubs, and I believe the last 3 games have been walk-off wins. So how awesome is that? How awesome is that? See, I got the Cubs coming in at number 4. Number 3, I got the Dodgers. Their second best record in all of baseball at 23 and 14. They're 5-5 in their last 10. Have a big run differential, a plus 77. Biggest kink in the Dodgers' armor right now is the starters going down left and right. I mean, we haven't even seen Blake Snell yet this year, even though they kind of did the same thing last year, and Snell was fantastic down the stretch and into the playoffs. So maybe we get that type of scenario going. I don't know. But yeah, Dodgers are still very good, but they don't crack the top 2 this week. They don't crack the top 2. Coming in at number 2, give me the Yankees. Yankees have the best run differential in baseball at plus 88. Plus 88. Plus 81, excuse me. And they're 8-2 in their last 10. They're bringing up their even though I saw he was their number 6 prospect. Was it Spencer Jones? I'm calling him up. So they'll have two of the taller position players in the league with this kid and Aaron Judge. And just what the Yankees need is more home run power. That's just what they need. Just what they need. And coming in at number 1 is the Atlanta Braves. The Atlanta Braves are coming in at my number 1 spot. There really isn't a whole lot this Braves team can't do. And this is the same Braves team like I told you guys and gals last week when I had them at number 2. This team just wins. They're 7-3 in their last 10. Plus 79 run differential, only slightly behind the Yankees. So, and they're 8 games up on the Nats. So they've opened up a divisional lead that's quite huge. I think it might be the biggest. AL East is 1. Central 1.5. They're 8, 4.5. Yep. So they've opened up the biggest lead in baseball. And yes, the Phillies have kind of caught fire. They're 8-2 in their last 10. Behind Donnie Ballgame, Don Mattingly taking the helm after their coach was fired. So is that going to be a resurgence? I don't know, but the Phillies are 8.5 back. So is it too big of a hole to dig out of to win the division for the Phillies? And if you're the Mets, you're 11.5 back. So that I think is very insurmountable, especially because it's doesn't seem like things are getting any better in New York. So that's my top 5 Turbos Power Rankings. Rays 5, Cubs 4, Dodgers 3, Yankees 2, Braves 1. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of this episode. Kind of the reason why you guys and gals are going to click on this or you're watching it live. For those of you that are watching live, whether you're on our YouTube page, Twitter, over on Facebook, Thank you so much for watching live. Hit the like, subscribe, hit the bell on YouTube so you get notified every time we go live. And for those of you that are on the audio side, whether you have us in your ears on the treadmill or in the car, thank you so much. You guys are the true OGs of the show. So let's talk shortstop, shall we? Let's talk shortstops because, like I said, it seems like every single team in the majors has a young stud shortstop, whether that shortstop has made it to the bigs right now or there's one down on the farm that is just absolutely raking. So I figured we would take a look at some of the established and then kind of give you guys and gals a little peek into the farm system and kind of some guys to keep an eye on. Just so that you know these names when they do make it up to the show. Now, I got to thinking, and it's like, okay, has there ever been just this amount of extremely talented shortstops to at the majors in one time? And the only thing that I could really even come close to is the late 90s, early 2000s. And even then, I mean, yes, you had A-Rod, you had Jeter, you had Nomar. And then there was, I mean, quite a big, I mean, those were the top three. And then after that, there was a sizable, like, tier, a lesser tier, but still very good. And like Miguel Tejada, Edgar Renteria, Omar Vizquel, and an aging Barry Larkin. But those last four really didn't give you the pop, didn't give you the pizzazz, didn't give you the all around just awesomeness that Jeets, A-Rod, and Nomar did. So that's probably the closest. But once we get into this, you're going to see just the vast number of guys that are just awesome. So let's get into it, shall we? So to qualify for this list, you had to be shortstop, and I just chose an arbitrary number, age 27 or younger. And you're going to see one name here that is going to be pretty much a constant throughout, no matter how we shift this list, how we break it down. And that name is Bobby Witt Jr. Bobby Witt Jr. for the Royals in his age 25 season. And he signed an 11-year extension worth $288.8 million in 2024 with opt-outs accelerators that could push the contract much higher. He's kind of the gold standard right now. I think all of us can agree that Bobby Witt Jr., even though the power numbers haven't quite come around this year, as far as defense, like the five tools that everyone talks about, he is probably the best representation of all of these guys. And I think he's going to be that kind of A-Rod type of guy to all of these guys, unless one of these younger players makes a drastic jump, which is very possible. Because a lot of these guys either they haven't hit the bigs yet, or they're in their rookie or second year season. So there is some time to kind of build into that major league frame and kind of see what, kind of what the ceiling is. But I think I don't think we've seen the ceiling for Bobby Witt Jr., but we've definitely seen, I think the floor is really, really good. Really good. Just some other names that are in the league right now. Gunnar Henderson in his age 24 season with the Orioles. He's still pre-arb. Elly De La Cruz is 24 with the Reds. He's in pre-arb as well. I did not realize that CJ Abrams was 25 years old. Not that 1 year makes a difference by any means. But I think that him being drafted by the Padres and then being traded to the Nats in the Juan Soto deal, he's getting more exposure because he's not in a log jam with 9,000 other shortstops on that roster for San Diego, and he's kind of can be his own dude and actually play shortstop. But he's with the Nationals, so we barely ever get to see them on TV. which is kind of a shame because he's putting together a season that is absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Love every bit of what CJ Abrams has, um and, and Ellie as well. I think Ellie, out of all of these guys, has the most potential, has the most upside just with his freak athletic nature. I mean, he's throwing the ball 100 miles an hour from shortstop to first. I really hate to be his first baseman, but he's got a hose. He's fast. He steals bags. He hits for average. He hits for power. It's just a matter of getting all of that to come together for Ellie. And if you're Cincinnati, you you better lock that kid up. You better lock him up. See some other ones here. Mason Wynn for the Cardinals. Jackson Holliday, who's currently playing second base because Gunnar Henderson is playing short. His traditional uh, position is shortstop, and he's still on the rookie scale here. He's been kind of the one that I think a lot of us were kind of banking on him. I mean, granted, a lot of it comes from his last name, but this kid was absolutely amazing in the minors before getting called up last year or 2 years ago, and just has kind of struggled at the major league level. And is that a bad thing? No, no. It just shows that maybe some of these guys need a little bit longer in the minors to kind of get a lot of things worked out. And it's not the end of the world if you get demoted back down to AAA to go work on things. Mike Trout did it. A lot of people don't remember that. Mike Trout was sent down in his rookie year. So, and here are some other ones that we've long glazed. Kevin McGonigal for the Tigers. We've highlighted his 8-year, $150 million extension, as well as Connor Griffin for the Pirates, his 9-year, $140 million extension. Some other ones to kind of keep an eye on. Colton Emerson for the Mariners. He signed an 8-year, $95 million deal before his debut. And Carson Williams for the Tampa Bay Rays, who's still under his rookie contract. And just some things to kind of highlight here when it does come to the shortstop position is these guys are looked at essentially as like quarterbacks in the NFL, point guards in the NBA. These guys, they're asked to be the face of the franchise and be a leader on the field because that's kind of what you normally have your best athlete period at the shortstop position. I mean, that even goes down to little league ball, high school ball, college ball. Regardless, they're most of the time the most athletic player on the team. So why not have them be the face of your franchise? And especially for teams that haven't had that dominant, athletic kind of rock in their lineup, like the Tigers, like the Red Sox, to have these young guys come up and just kind of hit the ground running, Pirates as well. That's huge. That's huge. Especially for a franchise like Detroit, where when Javi was scuffling a couple years ago, you didn't have anyone in the minors that was ready to take on that major league role. And for McGonigal to get here this early is absolutely phenomenal. And if you haven't watched him, he is as advertised. He is as advertised. Okay. Here's some more prospects. We talked to Jesus Mate for the Brewers. Very, very young. Very young. We could see him possibly this year. Leo DeVries, who was the excuse me. He's he's a switch hitter, up and comer for the Padres. Jordan Lawler for the D-backs. Marcelo Meyer for the Red Sox. Even though he's been up in the bigs for the last 2 years, playing pretty much everywhere but shortstop. Um, Sebastian Walcott for the Rangers, Aiden Miller for the Phillies. Let's see. The Red Sox have a couple of them. Cespedes and name Soria. No. Come on, notes. Where are you? I didn't go far enough. Franklin Arias. There we go. It's been a long day, 2K crew. Franklin Arias, and I think he's forcing the forcing the hand of the Red Sox brass because I mean, granted, he's still in Double A right now, just got to Double A, so I don't think we'll see him this season, barring some drastic injuries. But he's a guy that after putting on some weight and muscle in the offseason has just blossomed into an absolute stud. And he's 20 years old. So I say that to say the shortstop position has never been healthier in Major League Baseball. And even if I highlighted a bunch of guys that haven't even made their debut yet, we're in kind of unprecedented times here, 2K crew, and I think it's absolutely awesome. I think it's absolutely awesome. Now let's take a look at before we get to who's the best shortstops in the league. There's certain ones I haven't even mentioned. Corey Seager, Frankie Lindor, Mookie Betts, Trey Turner, even though Trey's getting a little old, but still, Willie Adames, Dansby Swanson, Bo Bichette, who has not had the best start ever, Jeremy Pena, Xander Bogaerts, who's been terrible, been better this year, but definitely has not led up to or has not lived up to his contract. But with that being said, there's a ton of guys on this list, and it's if you compare the shortstop in Major League Baseball to the NFL quarterback, what do we currently have going on in the NFL with quarterbacks? There's not enough good quarterbacks to go around. There's teams constantly looking. Jets, Browns. It seems like they're in the market for a quarterback every single year because they cannot hit on one. And you look at all the guys we just listed. There's a very, very good likelihood that your team has one of these shortstops stashed somewhere in the minors, just waiting for their chance to make it on the big league squad. So it's almost like Major League Baseball has an abundance of shortstops, of talented, amazing shortstops. So for the most important athletic position on the diamond, I think baseball's in a good spot. I really do. So let's get to, like I said, in my opinion, the best shortstop right now is Bobby Witt Jr. And you would be hard pressed to get me off of that with whatever argument you would like to present, because I think he, as far as money wise, the Royals, I think, were very smart to extend him when they did, because of the longer he would have went, that price tag is just going to go up with the current collective bargaining agreement. We have no idea what's going to happen next year. But you got a hell of a deal on him. Hell of a deal for 11 years. That's awesome. That's awesome. So if you take into account hitting, fielding, contract, Bobby Witt Jr. is a cannot miss. So in my eyes, he is the best shortstop in baseball on May 7th, 2026. Now, could this change in a month or so, or by the end of the season? Who knows? Quite possibly, with the amount of talent and athleticism and all the guys that we just highlighted, to have someone just have a just runaway awesome year, I'm for it. I'm for it. I would actually love it. I think it would be absolutely amazing. And I think a lot of these guys that we talked about, because of their age, are still kind of putting it together. And I think Elly has probably the best chance to catch or surpass Bobby Witt Jr. just because of his raw abilities and athleticism and his ability to steal bags. And the dude is so tall; it looks like he steals second base taking 4 steps. That's just awesome. And with an absolute cannon for an arm, yeah, he's must watch TV every time he comes to the plate. So yes, baseball is a very very healthy with shortstops, and I know there's going to be a lot of the old heads. Back in my day. Well, yeah, going back. There's been numerous amazing shortstops, and we've went into it at great lengths on this show, saying that I'm a firm believer that Alex Rodriguez was the best shortstop on the New York Yankees, even though he played third. There's no secret about it. And second would be Jeter, and then third would be Nomar, just because injuries with Nomar towards the end of his career, even kind of his exit from Boston, the longevity wasn't there like it was for the other guys. So as far as body of work, you kind of have to put those at 1, 2, and 3. I mean, you could argue Jeter, A-Rod. In my eyes, A-Rod's a far superior shortstop, even though he didn't play short. He never played shortstop for the Yankees. And if you rewind even further, we had guys like Cal Ripken Jr. who kind of set the standard for the tall shortstop. Because before that, shortstop was just a very sure-handed guy that you know kind of a base hit machine that had a great arm. And the Mets even had one in Ray Ordonez who batted below 200, I'm pretty sure, for his whole entire career, but was an absolute web gem every time he stepped out on the field. He was one of the best fielding shortstops from that era, period. So just the way shortstops are viewed and the way shortstops perform now is greatly different than what it was even 10, 15 years ago. So I'm excited to see what this group does. I'm excited to see the contracts that come out if the bargaining agreement is similar to what it is now. But yeah, this is, if you're a shortstop, you have life by the balls, and go get it. Go get it, because there's nothing more pleasing than watching really, really good shortstop play. This is coming from a guy who played first base his whole life. So I love it. I absolutely love it. Let me know who your top 5 shortstops currently playing are, or if there's a guy that you want to throw in there that hasn't made his debut yet. Who should we be watching out for? Let everybody know. Let everybody know. Well, 2K Crew, I think I've highlighted all my news. Yep. Highlighted all my news, so everyone have a great week. Hopefully it gets a little warmer. But everyone have a great week. I will see you next time. And as always, Jim Rome, we're coming for you.